Hi, folks. This is my man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha. So anyway, I'm trying to get going a little bit earlier. I tried to get it by 8:30, but things just didn't work out that way. I still got to go out and get a load of wood, but if I did that, I wouldn't be up till 9:30. So I know people got things to do. One of my coffee supporters has got to put her pullets to bed. You know what a pullet is? It's like herding pullets. They run around. You got to get them all in one spot. They're like a chick, but they're about 3 times big as a chick. They're adolescent chickens. So she got to round her pullets up and get them in bed. And so I tried to do some live streams earlier. I know Aaron's got to get to work, and he misses live streams sometimes. So I'm going to try to shoot for 8:30 in the future, but I can't promise nothing. But I appreciate all my supporters. This channel is viewer supported and creator supported only. And I appreciate my supporters on Buy Me a Coffee. And if anybody wants to help an old man out, the links are in the description. And hi Bubba, hi Nurse 222. And I'm wondering how my sound is, because I do have my phone charging. And last time that happened, there was a little something going on with volume. Anyway, but we'll see how it goes. So tonight we're going to talk about the Biden high crimes and family affairs. What else do I have on this? SCOTUS, Secret Service, and more. How you doing? Debbie says 5 by 5. That's good. That's good. And now, how many of y'all remember me talking about the Secret Service some time ago? And hello, Michelle. And I had said to remember Castle Rock. Now, I got my own reasons for that. That's not something that's going around in the general information community, I will say. I haven't been wanting to use that term intel because so much stuff we hear and get thrown at us as, quote, intel. You know, a lot of it's black hat stuff, and a lot of it's people trying to get clicks. A lot of it's just fantastic foolishness that gets people's hopes up. So I'm going to stick with info rather than the other I word of intel. Info. Okay. So, and we know it is a battle with the info. I won't say the other word because that gets them thinking some kind of that I'm doing something with Alex Jones or something like that. And you know how they can't stand him. So, anyway, so let me see what chat's going on here. Hi, Sharon. How are you doing? I'm going to see who makes it in. And the other one, Nikki's got to get up and go to work early every morning, and I keep her up late at night. I probably got her. Oh, I hope everything's all right there. I didn't get her in any trouble or anything. But anyway, before I get into some of the stuff in the thumbnail, I know some people click and they want to hear the thumbnail stuff. But does anybody in the chats remember the Podesta group? The Podesta group, and remember what that was. It was a lobbying group. A lobbying group. And it was John Podesta and his brother. They were, I believe they were trading on the stock exchange, or they had private investors or something like that. And they were the biggest lobbyist firm. And right after Trump won the election, they pulled up stakes, closed up shop, and packed up their hush puppies and hit the road. So you got two brothers there. And if you remember, Podesta's name was brought up early in the information drops. Okay? That's the term I'm going to use from now, the info drops. So, you know, with the stuff that's going on with the Biden family, his brother James, they call him Jim. You know, the Podesta group was elbow deep in that stuff. Hi, Pamela. How you doing? So anyway, let's see. The SCOTUS situation. I'm going to talk about that because I had questions about that last night, and Nikki sent me a PDF on it. I perused it very quickly, and I just go over some terms with you all. I just want you to remember that Trump brought up that the case that he's got his eye on and that he has brought up it a couple times at rallies and has asked us to remember and to focus on is the case that is going to be, there's going to be a decision released first part of December. Now, I said first week of December, but I remember the verbiage being first part of December, so I'm saying that could be anywhere from the 15th back will be the first part, or fairly to say, you know, you could call certain areas of mid-December, but let's just say the first part of December. I'd be looking forward in about 3 weeks, if not sooner. And we discussed in the live streams the import of that, the import. Now, this petition for a writ of certiorari is what these people filed. And what that is, it requests that Supreme Court issue a writ of certiorari, which is where the Supreme Court orders the lower court to transfer the case directly to the Supreme Court. They say, look, we're not going to wait for you to hear the case, read your decision, go through all that kind of stuff. No, this case, we want it, okay? We're going to pluck this chicken, okay? That's what a writ of certiorari means. And the plaintiffs, I believe they're out of Utah, filed the writ or the petition to ask the court to grant a writ of certiorari. That's what that is about. And should the court grant that, they're going to take the case from the lower court and handle it themselves. It's a fast track. And I'm sure that Trump has filed his share of petitions for writs of certiorari in order to bypass the lower courts when he felt it was best. Now, there are times it was best for him to let the stuff drag out, just to educate people or just to find out who's doing what and who stands where. I'm sure you get a lot of information when you drag stuff out. And by all looks of everything, Trump's been getting quite a bit of information. So we're going to keep an eye on this writ of certiorari. And there was some verbiage in there I wanted to pull up where the basic cause, as they're given, why they should be granted this writ of certiorari is that, let me see if I can pull that PDF up, that the arguments in past judgments were so out of line with the spirit and purpose of the law. That's not the exact language, but that they were not in comportment with the in the interests of justice. So, in other words, what they've been dealing with, the times they've been turned away or sent away, just did not fit with the law of the land. And the case law and the laws that they cite exclusively, almost exclusively, is the Constitution, which we know is the supreme law of the land. I mean, they don't give. I don't remember that they gave any. Let me see if I can pull that up. They gave any case law beyond, quoted any case law beyond the Constitution itself. So let me see here. We'll pull this up. And what it says, Valland J. Brunson is the petitioner. Alma S. Adams et al. Is, and that means and others, is the respondent. Valland J. Brunson. This is Utah, and he is a petitioner in pro se. Pro se means sans lawyer, no lawyer, by yourself. Pro se. Just like this character who ran everybody over in the parade. Now, so you got to realize this guy is taking things up on his own. And this is what everyone had been talking about. And I didn't get too bristled up about it because there are many cases that are tossed at the Supreme Court. There's one I remember was a prisoner who kept going straight to the Supreme Court with petitions. He even wrote out his petitions on toilet paper. And there was some kind of motion to prevent him from filing anymore. I don't remember what happened with it, but that sounded like a flash in the pan about 10 years ago. I'm not saying this doesn't deserve scrutiny. I'm just saying that there are a lot of different types of petitions, and this person is going on his own, basically. Let me see what this, the crux of what he's saying is 14F provisions, Supreme Court Rule 14F. Congress shall make no law establishing religion, prohibiting the right to peaceably assemble and petition for government for grievances, and the laws of the United States shall be made pursuant thereof. In the Constitution, supreme law of land. Of course, I already said that. And every judge will be bound. So, oh gosh, this screen, it's a PDF and it's trying to jump around on me. I should have got a screenshot, but reasons for granting this petition. Brunson's complaint alleges FRAUD, violations of the oath of office, and touches on acts of treason committed by the respondents. The serious offense needs to be addressed immediately with the least amount of technical nuances of the law. And so what this does, it basically lays out what the lower courts have been remiss in addressing core issues of the Constitution, according to the plaintiff. As I said, he's showing up without an attorney. So it looks like it's brief. It's to the point, and as far as finer legal points, there's no attempt to go to splitting hairs. It's basically saying this happened, and the Constitution forbids this, and the judges are not acting as if they're bound by the supreme law of land. So that's the crux of this petition for a writ of certiorari. Now, whether the court grants his writ is another issue altogether, and they may say to themselves, well, we're going to lay down this business of whether or not secretaries of state or health departments can change voter rules, or if that is solely in the hands of the state legislatures, and see how that gels out. I don't know. But anyway, so I went ahead and addressed that. But I think that the case that we were talking about earlier and that Trump has mentioned many times has been in the hopper for a long time. It's been in the hopper for a long time, 2 years. Hi, Lucy. How you doing? I think it's the first time I've seen you, honey. Hi, Sinsin. My rock, my salvation. Now I hope if anybody I made mad, come on back, because, well, I don't know what to do about that one I had a problem with. TMWT, I got to kiss and make up with her. Well, I have to kiss her from afar if she let me. So I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I got to figure out how to straighten that out. Hi, Buckeye Bob. Well, we're glad you're here, Lucy. We love Lucy. Okay, so did everybody get a chance to see Jim Jordan coming out with, he's thrown down the gauntlet. It wasn't any warning shot. He's thrown down the gauntlet. It's game on, okay? Game on. And he didn't pull any punches. And there were references made to Grassley. Now, in the past, Grassley has appeared to be soft on MAGA, like he's lukewarm to it. You have to understand that I'm sure most of you do, some of you may not. Some of these people have to act in a certain way to coalesce people around them so they'll listen to what they say. If they go, I'm all the way MAGA and all the way for Trump, you'll have a certain percentage of the general population not take their positions seriously and their statements of fact concerning criminal activity. I did a video when he basically made a public indictment of the mainstream media for interfering in political affairs, if you know what I mean, and from keeping the public blind to certain criminal activity. And he was very firm in that he wanted to see action taken concerning that, and that this stuff be addressed by the Justice Department. This was about 6 months ago. How you doing, Quilt? Who's that? Well, Senator Grassley is a senator. Now, again, you're talking about the new Speaker of the House. He's met with Trump in super secret meetings in private. Now, publicly, he's doing the Grassley. He's acting like he's lukewarm about certain things. He's not totally on board with he supports Trump, but he's skeptical. All this kind of stuff is the middle of the road game. Okay, we want people to coalesce. And we have to remember we're not quite at the point where Lincoln was. Lincoln was at a point where he saw his next duty as a president to, quote, bind the nation's wounds, okay? And after the constitutional crisis he confronted, and the battles that were fought, and he ended up giving his life for this country. But just prior to his death, that was the tone he set for his administration. Now, we're not there yet, but we're going to be, where it'll be time to bind the nation's wounds. But we have to look at that statement for our group, the people that feel they've been let down, the people who are barking into the internet airways that Trump needs to go. We have to decide and discern how many of those people are not really, they don't have our good in mind or the movement of America first in mind. They're trying to sow division on purpose, number one. Number two, how many of them need to realize and get out of their head that do we want as a leader someone who's going to provoke anarchy and violence, or do we want a guiding hand for leadership? And that's what this very, what I consider to be solemn announcement compared to Trump's rallies. He was very low key. He was very serious. Okay. What has happened, I would say, in the last close to a week, Kari Lake, Donald Trump, even Marjorie Taylor Greene, people in positions of committee positions in the Senate and in the House, they are exuding to me a quiet seriousness. And when they speak, it is about things that are provable, that they have evidence for, dead to rights. Jim Jordan laid out, I don't know, almost a dozen what could be considered to be high crimes. High crimes. Maybe a few misdemeanors in there, or ones he didn't care to bring up because that's small potatoes. So I think, Steve Scalise would have been a good one. I put a community post out about that, but I came to think about it. How many times McCarthy and Trump has met, and I think McCarthy's been in this deal since the beginning, along with DeSantis. You know, you have to understand this is military planning at its finest. It is high. The highest level you can get to is psychological operations. They've got what's called the looking glass, and that gets into where people think, you know, there's some kind of booth you walk in and stick your face in a set of goggles and you see the future. No, what that is, looking glass. It is a quantum computer program where you put in scenarios and historic human behavior, psychological facts of how people behave, which we know about: mirroring, projecting, denying, all those things. You have all these facets in a quantum computer program. If you put in certain facts and scenarios, it'll be able to tell you, just like a chess game. You bought a Radio Shack computer chess game. It knows it's going to win, or will tell you what moves will be played. After a certain number of new moves have been played, it'll tell you every move that is going to happen. And if that set of moves doesn't happen, it knows this set's going to happen. Okay? So that's the same thing with looking glass and human behavior. Human behavior. I lost a bunch of people in chat, so that's okay. I'm just talking about facts of life. Anyway, so the investigations are beginning. They have evidence that is factual, not cheap finger pointing and media parroting cheap finger pointing. And bought and paid for phony documents like the dossier that's all been exposed. And the people that have colluded, cooperated, and promulgated this farce, they're all going to be held accountable. Like I said, making a list, checking it twice, and they have a duty to get these people identified. And if there's not a blanket, you broke the law. If that's no, they gotta go. They can't hold public office. They cannot be given the public trust. Okay, at the very least. And I'm talking about every one of them. Now, who in the world's this? That's all right. I'll take your head. Bubba, don't you click on that now. Let me get that out of here. If Red was here, he'd probably click on it. There we go. They're gone. Ha, ha, ha. I'm just kidding, Bubba. I know you're a good man. I know you're a good man. I like teasing people sometimes. But anyway, so what you have are a bunch of desperate people, and this is, as Trump said, a very dangerous time. And the reason it's dangerous is because you have literally thousands of people. Once everything goes down in a lawful manner, in accordance with the Constitution and the rules of evidence and the rules of law, law and order society is going to live up to its creed, and they will be innocent until proven guilty. But it's dawning on literally thousands of people that what's been going on up to and including and beyond Donald J. Trump getting on Air Force One and going to Mar-a-Lago and letting Biden go in, what's been going on has been an operation to identify bad actors, collect evidence. It's been the largest investigation in human history. And it's not just in the Magic Kingdom, Washington, D.C. This is worldwide. One of the most open and notorious things we know about as far as criminal activity or frauds against the United States, the people of the United States, even possibly sedition and higher crimes than that, is Ukraine. Maria Abramovich, Alexander Vindman, they've all shown their backsides to the world on national television. I got to see how to put out wrenches. I got them out of here. I got my wrench. William, I got it. I kicked them out of here. But anyway, how's everybody doing in chats? Am I steering out of the? Well, anyway, one thing that Jordan said was that they're no longer going to be allowed to turn a blind eye. And he used the terms waste, fraud, and abuse. Now that's statutory. That is a statute. Unlike with Mr. Teed, they say he's mean. They say he acts unpresidential. They say he grabs women, and he never said he did. He was saying they would let him. That didn't mean, but they take these things and turn him into something he is not, and the media jumps right on and promulgates it. And I tell you, if y'all remember when we had chats before, I had a guy up there. I called him Sailor Man, and he was yeah. Bubba said, "Hit those thumbs up, Patriots. Show some love." Yes, thank you very much. I don't think he's figured out how to get to this channel. I mean, I'm not going to crack on him too much, but they're not over bright generally. And I don't know if you all remember him, but I used to call him Sailor Man. I didn't use his real handle. Well, he put a comment on one of my community posts. And it was a community post with a picture of Joe Biden and the Nord Stream, reflection of the Nord Stream pipeline in his sunglasses next to the symbol I'm using here in the center of the screen. And I was saying that I would be on Nikki's later that night. So for some reason, he decided to put a comment in. Trump announced that he is going to lose to Sleepy Joe again. LOL. So this was before Trump's announcement, and I guess what was funny to him was that he thinks Joe won, right? And Trump is going to lose again. So my response was 81 million ballots was spectacular for sure. And I just left it at that. I didn't say any names. I didn't put any funny emojis in there or nothing. So that bugs him. When you just give a simple answer that is obvious, 81 million ballots was spectacular. And I was going to put almost unbelievable. But he sends me back this big long, just bear with me, folks, because let's see what kind of, my salvation. Let's see what kind of psychological discoveries we can get of the general population of these people who hate Trump, know Biden's screwing up real bad, but don't want to change. Okay? Let's see if we can get some psychological clues from his response to my saying 81 million was spectacular. Okay, Mountain Man says, this was on the other setup. That's how bad Trump was. As bad as Biden is polling, Trump was disliked at least as much. There is no shame in saying that the vote was more against Trump than for Biden. But the fact is, Trump lost. After all the promises of the pillow guy and the lawsuits filed by Rudy Giuliani, there has been zero evidence that the election was stolen. And just because you don't like the results, and as much as you want for FRAUD to be true, there was no evidence because it didn't happen. Trump lost. Deprogram. That was his response to me. This is someone who's not paying attention to anything outside of the regular media. And maybe it'll be somebody that's part of the bureaucratic class. I mean, as I've said before, many of them couldn't make it anywhere else. They couldn't make it in private business. Their skill levels, their intelligence, and they don't exercise their mind is why the intelligence quotient is low. They just go along with the program to get a paycheck. And they can't survive in the real world outside of the bureaucracy. So maybe that's the case. He doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to lose the feathers he's stuffed in his nest. Okay. So I just responded to him from the most programmed response ever. Interesting. He told me to deprogram, and I told him you just gave me the most programmed response I ever heard in my life. So, he may come on the show, he may get in the chats again. I'm just trying to point out that there's no effort at learning the other side of the pancake. And for him to believe without checking out the validity of that 81 million figure shows you that there's a block of our society, like Trump says, they haven't felt it yet. They're not feeling it. And the fact of the bureaucratic class is they are insulated, and they'll never feel it until Trump does the Schedule F. And my rock, my salvation is that Schedule F is getting rid of all the dead weight in the government. We're talking 6 figures in the thousands, okay? Go make Elon Musk purge make the Super Bowl look like a puppy show, okay? My rock, my salvation said I almost jumped down someone's throat yesterday when the subject of Mr. T was brought up. As she said, her husband said too many people hate him, but I said, for what? But it ended well because she wants Trump back. Ha, 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 that's good, my rock. Yeah, the husband, just let him cook his own dinner and sit in a corner somewhere. And the way they persecute him is pathetic. I'm going to put that up on the screen for history. The way they persecute DJT. Okay. So, anyway, that's what I was talking about, my rock, is we're not at the point of binding the nation's wounds, but when this person, this bureaucrat, I suspect, gets his Schedule F piece of paper where he can go act all-knowing, all-intelligence, and look down his nose, he can do that somewhere else because the bureaucracy allows him to think he is exceeding others in intelligence, and we're all stupid because he talks that way. He's guaranteed a job, a do-nothing job, if he is part of the bureaucratic class, and he'll keep getting those paychecks, and he doesn't have to exercise his mind. He's feathered his nest. Okay? So, we've got these high crimes and misdemeanors. And one thing I discussed was the clean hands doctrine. Trump's got clean hands. Whatever happens, Jim Jordan, if you remember his last rally, the rally before his last one, he had Jim Jordan come up on the stage. And he said he's a fighter. If you look at his ears, remember that? He said his ears. That tells you right there. He said, you look at those ears. I said, there's something going on with those ears. And Jim Jordan is going to be the leg breaker. Remember, I used that term. Somebody's got to be a leg breaker. And Rand Paul is going to have his area of concerns about the medical issues in the country. Jim Jordan's going to have his areas of concern about the criminal acts and the foreign influence. And Chuck Grassley, I believe, is going to be handling the media. And Chuck Grassley is another one. Trump gave a shout out to the same time he was talking to Jim Jordan. And Chuck Grassley hollered back at him an answer. I think it was about his age. And I think Grassley's got the assignment for doing what Trump said, which was get after the media. The media is the biggest problem. So, if they would take hate out of the equation, Math is math, not political. Numbers don't lie. If you honestly look at all the numbers, Mr. T. Okay, that's that's a good way to look at it. See, I got to watch what the words that are coming out of my mouth. I got to watch. How you doing, Patriot? Starfighter. Remember I said, Debbie said, remember when he said, if I lose everything, who would be behind me if I decided to run? That's exactly right. Exactly right. And Philo says, watch Jordan wrestle at Ohio State University. He was a bad ASS. Grind you in the mat. That's right. I remember in high school, there was one guy, he had a habit of grabbing guys and lifting their rear ends up, and he smacked their arms out from under them, and their face would drop right down into the mat. He didn't get me, though. I knew that was coming. Whoops, I got good to see you, Philo, on the screen. Okay, so yeah, Trump is weeding them out. He's weeding them out, and DeSantis is helping him. DeSantis is putting a smile on his face. He's not saying anything bad about Trump. He's letting them all jump and show their backsides. And Trump knows what the deal is. And the other thing Jim Jordan brought up was Tim Tebow character. He is the FBI agent that was, Trump said, was walked out of the building, the FBI building, like a criminal, common criminal. He's going to be under oath, sitting in front of that Congress. And as I said before, all the abuses they've done with subpoenaing people, arresting people, and seizing their property, you better believe that people like this Tim Tebow, people like this Maria Abramovich, when it's all said and done, they are not going to be protected anymore. And they are going to have to answer. So, let me see what's going on. Yep, they've dug their own situations. Give them enough rope. I tell you, I had a friend that he used that clean hands all the time, and he had a lot of other things too. Like if he had somebody wanting something from him, you know, it was a bad situation he didn't want to get into. He would say, "My hands are tied. My hands are tied." In other words, don't look at me. There's nothing I can do. And he's the one that first told me 30 years, more than that, ago about the doctor to clean hands. Or he'd say, my hands are tied, or it's out of my hands. It's out of my hands. You know, if somebody tries to pin it on Trump, Trump's saying, look, I'm trying to run for office. What are you talking about what Jim George's doing? That's out of my hands. Huh? What do you want from me? That's not me. I have clean hands. So you see how it's all come together. And if the people that are disappointed, you know, and we get these internet warriors who are, I don't know if they're half drunk or chain smoking Marlboros and talking into the computer or the phone, and they're making these brash and rash comments, they need to sit down and think about it. Because the internet's forever. And they're making fools of themselves. And I bumped heads with one. I won't call out no names. But people like that, I mean, if they're half in the bag, just don't do a broadcast. If you got your rear end up on your shoulders, just talk to yourself. Don't do a broadcast, especially if you're going to bash Trump. Because I've been watching how on Twitter and True Social and Telegram, I ghost around, look around, that what we're discussing and how Trump is to be treated is starting to become the prevailing notion when people, it starts dawning on people, and especially when Jim Jordan came out with his unequivocal condemnation. He brought up human trafficking, okay? And he called it a family situation, Jim Biden. And we all know Jim Biden's got property on the island there in, I guess it's St. Martin, that is directly adjacent to the island we all know about. Okay, and he said the key was cell phones. And if you remember, Durham, that statement, one of the very few, a rare statement he put out, cell phones, burner phones, forget it. I'm tracking you. And just like this guy putting that comment, that big long comment, which I believe he deleted, but I got a screenshot of it so I can read it. And that's what they do. They'll make some emotional blather that if you parse it and look at it, it makes no sense. Much like the letter that Karl Marx wrote to Abraham Lincoln, I brought up in another program. It made no sense, but it was full of glory, fire and brimstone, or courageous talk, or whatever. But none of it fit the pieces together. None of it. So after they post it, they take it down. Especially when I give a very simple answer, like, that's a very programmed answer. Thank you for telling me to deprogram. So, but what I was saying about Durham, you got to remember, Rudy Giuliani was physically in Ukraine. He has prima facie evidence. He has bank account numbers. He has traces. He knows the bank accounts in Luxembourg. And before he got taken down off these social media platforms, he said he can prove the money went directly to the personal accounts of Joseph Robinette Biden, the big guy. He tracked the money through different countries. He had the proof. So that takes you to making a list, checking it twice, as far as prosecutors, as far as investigators that got this information, as far as with every case, judges who kick cases out or refuse to hear them for some specious reason. They've all got to be looked at. And I'm not going to be surprised if you have dozens, if not more, judges in a group impeachment. Just all of them together. Just put their name down on a list. If it's 5 of them, 8, 10, don't do separate trials because you can show the evidence really quick. How they treated a sitting president and how the rules of evidence are supposed to go. And this Judge Sullivan, who chased Flynn for years and was involved in a case which ended up in the loss of a Senate seat in Alaska, when it was shown that Senator Ray Stevens was set up and that the Justice Department withheld evidence. He came up with a stupid little Brady rule. If you withhold evidence, you're in big trouble. Like you could get sanctioned or a reprimand in your file. No, wait a minute. If you withhold evidence and try to frame a sitting U.S. senator, your ass goes to jail. So Senator Stevens lost the seat in Alaska. I did a video on it. And that losing that seat gave Barack Hussein Obama a very slim majority in the Senate that enabled him to pass the Communist Health Care Act and took over a third of our economy. And Senator Stevens, the case was thrown out because evidence was hidden after the election, after he lost his seat. The case was thrown out, and before he could do anything, he died in a plane crash. That's why I started the other video I did with that plane crash. Because 75% of them are what? Targeted. And certain people tell no tales. I didn't plan on getting off on Senator Stevens, but that shows you right there. We're talking high-level federal judges that are going to be facing impeachment. They write down the little peanuts like that magistrate judge who authorized the raid on the 45th president of the United States on his home. Are you kidding me? Nothing's going to happen to him? Oh, I don't think so. And when Jim Jordan talked about cell phones, they got evidence and they got it big. And everybody wants to see people answer for what they've done. But what's more important and will be more rewarding is to see evidence showing what they've done, put in front of the world. And for them to be prosecuted in accordance with our Constitution, everything above board, and people understand why they're going to get the punishment prescribed by law. They will understand that they were not unfairly persecuted, and they will understand why certain punishments have to be implemented, why certain people need to be removed, and they have to go work somewhere else because they can't be in positions of public trust. And some people who, especially if they were engaged in ways, trying to think of ways to harm the president or his family, the phrase, "we want to make him stroke out," comes to mind. Why there needs to be harsh punishment for that kind of behavior. There won't be, in 90% of the people's mind, there will not be a doubt that the people were guilty of what they were accused of, and the punishments that were meted out are necessary to protect a civil society, protect our Constitution. That's the goal. We don't want anybody thinking there is vengeance, gratuitous punishment, malicious prosecution, such as Letitia James is doing to Donald Trump. We don't want that taint on any of it. Menace res actus reus. The meaning of their actions and the actions themselves. And if the pieces of the puzzle are put together right in front of everybody around the world, they did X, and if they do X, they get Y. Okay? And everybody will be, the majority of the world population will understand what kind of danger our cultures, not, I'm using the plural, because other nations' cultures are threatened. Our culture and our way of life and our very physical safety is now in danger and has been in danger for decades. And that's going to be exposed. And that is what's going to be rewarding. As I said, one guy that was in charge, he wasn't the only one, but he was on trial, Blobert, Paul Blobert. He was in charge of the Einsatzgruppen in the Ukraine area and Poland area doing mass executions. He was on trial. One of his subordinates, who had confessed and given evidence, still testified very strongly against him, even though he knew he had no excuse for what he did and he was going to suffer the ultimate penalty. He still made sure he testified against Blobert, because Blobert ordered him. But ordering someone to commit a crime and saying that's your excuse, that's long been settled. It's no excuse. He knew he was going to face the ultimate fate, but he still testified against Blobert. He said, I want to see him stew in his own juices. So we're going to see a lot of people, and it may take months, 12 months, 24 months, 6 months. Could happen. Could something good happen? Hey, the biggest military operations, some of them happen right at Christmas. Crossing the Delaware, how many times have we seen that picture put up on the info drops? Washington crossing the Delaware was Christmas. Okay, when he went over there and jumped the Haitians. I mean the Hessians. I think the Haitians were leaving us alone. But anyway, so hey, it's a process, and we have to stand firm in the right, and we got to take the high road, and that's what they're doing. And Trump was serious. He was in a positive mood, but in a serious manner. So I take encouragement and comfort from that. And as I said, he is a guiding hand, one of several, and not someone due to ego or the prompting of others, public opinion. He is not guiding, sending us into political turmoil, which will permanently divide this country and result in loss of life and physical violence. He is a guiding hand. And William Tecumseh Sherman said, when he was doing his march to the sea, that people needed to feel the hard hand of war. And that is what I feel Trump was hinting at, that people haven't felt it yet. They haven't felt the hard hand of war. That's what made me think, that's what I thought of William Tecumseh Sherman in his march to the sea when he took Georgia and broke the South back. From there on, there was just nothing but the Battle of Richmond, and, very little for them after that. So let me see what's going on in chats. I've been going on and on. Trump did say we would have a good Christmas. Well, we all want to have a Merry Christmas, right, Karen? But you're right. That may be a little hint. But I remember you heading out, Aaron, all right? Thank you, Aaron. Let's see. Yes, he's showing truth, Debbie. So I'm just scrolling through here to catch up with what everybody's saying. Trump did say we'd have a good Christmas. And you know what? He may be throwing that out there to get them to have a miserable Christmas, because they know it's coming. And you know this guy like it's Tim Tebow, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. FBI guy. He didn't know what was he didn't know that was going to happen. He showed up to work. He's a big shot. He runs these operations, and everybody below him is scared of him. And all of a sudden, he's getting figuratively gotten by the elbows and taken out of the building. You know he's running his mouth. You know he's calling and crying to people, and he's scared. I don't care how tough he thinks he is. But when you get a smackdown like that, when it wasn't Mr. T, it was a Biden administration. So that told you right there, Biden couldn't protect him. Then you have the fear set in. That is the punishment leading up to the trials. Charges. First will be indictments. Investigation, indictment, trials. That whole process is going to be terrifying for them. All right, Aaron's still hanging in there. So, anyway, did I cover everything I had in my thumbnail? I don't want to get nobody mad at me. But I tell you, I go through these things. I remember that Paul Blobert, and that guy was going to be executed. He'd been found guilty, but he still wanted to come to court to testify. So I guess, if he had some hope to get right with God for what he did, he made sure that Blobert faced justice, and he wanted to see Blobert stew in his own juices. There's going to be a lot of people stewing in their own juices. So, wait a minute. I flipped my pages and I don't know where I'm at. Ha ha. So, anyway, how much of this stuff's not being reported? Like the Trudeau humiliation, you didn't see anybody reporting on that. How much of Jim Jordan's discussion? Now, he's talking about the occupant of the President of the United States office. He is saying high crimes and misdemeanors. He's saying waste, fraud, abuse. He's saying money laundering. Oh, Secret Service. That's what else I had my thumbnail. I remember seeing about 3 years ago, may have been more than that, a little article from a sheriff's office, a small community in Colorado. How you doing, Wolfpack? Called Castle Rock. And I can't find the article anymore, but it was where they were proud to announce in the local paper that they have a office set up that focuses on international money laundering, and that they partnered with the federal branch of government that oversees investigations into international money laundering, and that they were happy to work with this group, and they were proud to be a part of this new program. What was the group from the federal government that oversees international money laundering? The Secret Service. Okay? In Castle Rock. So they busted people here, there, and everywhere. But like that song says, one thing leads to another. Hello, Freedom, hello. One thing leads to another. I would sing it, but I might get a copyright strike since I sound exactly like the singer. But anyway, if Trump put out executive orders just because he left Mar-a-Lago, those executive orders are being followed. The Secret Service has been pursuing international money laundering. The military has been tracking human rights abuses and human trafficking. Okay? Those are the big things that's going to, and of course, the NSA, which they tongue-in-cheek say no such agency, has been building a case and laying out the framework of this organization that colluded and cooperated with each other, and that includes members of the mainstream media, the government, the judiciary system. The spider web has been laid out and drawn out as to who was involved in attempting to remove and eventually removing the sitting president of the United States. And they know it. They know it. They're criminals, but they're not stupid. So, boy, I hope we do have a nice Christmas. A nice Christmas, but the caveat is that he says we're in danger, and that the country is going to suffer more. That it's just beginning. I don't know what happened to the diesel fuel shortage. That was brought up, but not much has come of that. But the strategic petroleum reserves is getting cut off on the 25th. And that is right around the corner. So, if you can fill up, do it. And I'm not saying hoard gas or, blow up going down the road because you filled a trash pail full of gas. But, we've all seen worse on YouTube. Oh, yeah, the races, all that stuff. Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you, the people that are involved in this operation and all the, I'll say, tentacles that tie right back in, everybody's working different things. And they must be so excited. They probably can barely contain themselves because it's coming to a crescendo. All these judges, prosecutors, politicians, Adam Shifty Chip, but people who usually don't get looked at, like judges, prosecutors, attorneys, like Weissman, Mr. Sweaty Man, they're all being looked at, as Trump says, very strongly. Now, Pelosi's gone, NBC fired that reporter, but now they say that reporter is temporarily suspended pending an investigation, and NBC put out another report, different report, but pretty much the same information that they suspended this reporter for, who worked there for 10 years, who won an Emmy. So somebody got a bug in NBC's ear to start telling the truth, because there are laws, especially in law of war, about propaganda. Okay? They fired the guy. Then all of a sudden, 4 days later, they put out a report almost identical to his, and then they correct it and say he's not fired, he's just suspended with pay, I'm sure, pending an investigation. Who smacked them in the chops? Somebody did. Did you hear that Hillary, whatever campaign supervisor, a government agency, they marked her 2022 super PAC or something to do with her campaign, they marked it as terminated? I heard that last night. It's going to be tough on truck drivers. That's true. The reserves being lifted or stopped. But anyway, I heard Hillary's some big portion of her PACs or her campaign has been marked in as terminated. And then BlackRock is a company, if you all remember, when they were bragging in New York about landlords suffering, not getting paid, that bonehead in mayor, was it de Blasio in New York, was saying, well, they get down to cheap enough. I could see where the government buys them up through this company. I think it was BlackRock, and we could really do good helping out. And in other words, a government takeover of private property using this company BlackRock and making the price cheap through unconstitutional mandates that destroy people and destroy their investments. And this is the same bunch that's saying Donald Trump overestimated the values of his property in New York. And they're putting someone, a judge, another one who's going to get impeached, to monitor a private business. And these people have destroyed New York property values, artificially destroyed it with their unconstitutional mandates and violations of people's rights. Oh, it's going to be biblical. It's going to be biblical. BlackRock has declared bankruptcy, and BlackRock was tied into this Rothschild matriarch who just passed at the age, I think, of 91. And now there's stories on net. I'm just going to repeat a story as a story, because that's, I'm not saying it's true or anything, but people said she had to take the Socrates way out. She had to take the Desert Fox, what was Erwin Rommel way out, which was take a little pill, whatever, you're out of here. I'm not putting any credence on that. I'm just saying that's what's going around the web. But I don't think it's, to a normal person, I wouldn't even bring that up, because that makes it seem like people are going to secret places to get conspiracies here. No, we're not about that. We're about information. The information is BlackRock was tied into this very wealthy family, the Rothschilds, and they were working with Mayor de Blasio to buy all the apartments. De Blasio said it. It was printed in the paper. It was put up on the news that he was glad real estate prices were collapsing because of what they were doing to the landlords, and that they were going to buy it all up. Okay? Communists. And you know what else they got? And I was talking the other night about precedent. Trump had to be careful about what precedent he sets, because we don't know the future, that far in the future, who's going to someday take over and say, well, Trump did it. Trump used violence to take over. Well, think about the precedent they set about whistleblowers, how they protected them. Even though they weren't whistleblowers, they were whistle liars. But they set a precedent. The media couldn't say their names. Nobody could say their name. I couldn't say their name. Nobody. So, okay. They got whistleblowers. Jim Jordan's got whistleblowers. And he's got credible ones. Not cheap finger pointing BS for the cameras, rehearsed nonsense to agitate the masses. It'll agitate the masses, but not through theatrics and appealing to low IQ voters. And they're that way because they haven't had to exercise their mind. They haven't had to try to figure things out. It's handed to them. If you just march to their beat, you get paid. That's a very simple way of living, and your brain is no different than your bicep or anything else, any other, your stamina, your breathing, or endurance. If you don't exercise it, it withers. Okay? The synapses don't open and close as quick. All right? You're just dull. So everything was geared to appeal to the dull. So people like me would get a long, drawn out comment of crapola that will, in 15 minutes, be taken down because the person exercises their brain, rereads what they wrote, and says, this is kind of stupid. And they take their own comment down. So anyway, folks, that's what we got. I've gone over now again. What's crapola? Hello, America. Oh, what these people are talking about. Aha, you're right, buddy. Hi, Robin. Hi, how you doing, Robin, honey? Thank you, honey. You know I appreciate you so much. And I was very interested in hearing about your story, your family's history. That's pretty impressive. I had a friend who had a pair of swords on the wall of his den, and they were Civil War swords that his family had. They fought for the North. A Brazil moment here will take that stuck-up nose out of the deep state. No amnesty, cages, and bugs for them to eat. New world. Freedom alone. I appreciate you too, Robin. But yeah, Brazil, I had that note written down. There are reports that this 3 million strong demonstration that Bolsonaro may annul the election, and that is the understanding is that he is constitutionally permitted to do that. If there's evidence, he can annul it. So we'll see if that happens. But the bad boys or bad people have got two things they got to worry about if they kick about it. They got 3 million people out in the street that have had enough. Plus they got the military. And so that his opponent was a jailbird communist that somehow, through a crooked judge, I think, I don't know, but whoever did it, they let him out of jail, and then he ends up running for president. But I can guarantee you that the Brazilian military was being assisted with intelligence by Space Force. And I guarantee you that the spider webs for what happened in Brazil are going to lead back to certain people who are going to stew in their own juices in this country. It is going to be wild. Mountain menorahs, musketeers, but the mountaineers. Let me see what's going on here. The coffee club, I was gonna start calling it the coffee mob. We're the mob. And Aaron's the Godfather, and then you got Rock and Robin, and Kristen, and somebody 1 and somebody 2. But I could call that the Mountain Man Mob. Ha ha! How about that? Mountain Mob. Bubba said PSF roar. Oh. The mountain lions, yeah. Quilt said the mountain lions. I don't know, we have to cogitate on that. I'll cipher out some names. So anyway, folks, boy, I've gone along on this one. It's almost an hour and 20 minutes. So anyway, I appreciate y'all sitting here listening to me babble, and I got to do something on the other site. And like, share, and subscribe. I've done that when I watch other stuff, especially on Rumble. I forget to hit that plus button, and I'll say, "Oh my gosh!" But with YouTube, it's a little easier to get the chats out of the way and hit the like button. If you get a chance to leave a message in the hard comments, I appreciate all the messages I got from the pre-recorded video about Mr. Key's statement. There were a lot of comments there that helps the video get around. Almost 500 views. I appreciate it. And I'm almost getting up to 600 subscribers on that one, and I'm about up to 300 here. So anyway, you guys take care. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you soon. You all take care and have a great night. This is Mountain Man, over and out.